Welcome to your Monday Morning Pearl. I'm Steve Keck. Today, we're going to continue our conversation around culture's impact on sales. We've talked about a variety of different cultures: climate-based, hot versus cold, barter, etc. And today, I want to focus on one that is a little bit more complex. It's the guilt-mercy culture versus the shame and honor culture. As with all cultural dynamics, what we need to understand is that the best way to sell is to honor the culture you're connecting to. The challenging part about these two dynamics in a culture is that they are very, very hard to understand when you're standing comfortably in one to see the perspective of the other. So what do these dynamics today look like? Let's start with the guilt-mercy culture. A guilt-mercy culture is based on the fact that if you do something wrong, accept the guilt, accept the consequences, receive mercy. If you're selling to a guilt-mercy culture, it's common for you to own up to what's happened, stay in front of it, but expect that the other side of it, even if they're a little unhappy, will continue to try to work together. It is natural for you to expect that the best thing for you to do is to come clean. This is what went wrong with the sales process. This is what happened. We didn't follow through on something. It's our fault. Forgive us. Let's move on. And we're going to take care of fixing it. The second dynamic is the shame-honor culture. This dynamic shows up where the imperative and most important thing is to either bring honor to or avoid bringing shame upon someone you know, someone you work for, a company you work for, or even a nation. Good example of this would be World War II Japan, where they were willing to give their lives just to show honor to their emperor. With the shame and honor dynamic, it is actually culturally appropriate not to admit that you are to blame for something. The problem with that from a guilt-mercy culture is that even though the person clearly pushed the button and caused the problem, they won't accept the blame for it. And that makes it challenging, especially when you're trying to get to the bottom of how to fix something. So what do you do in sales when you're selling to cultures of both dynamics? In America, because we're more of a melting pot, a lot of the people that you're working with are from a variety of different cultures, and they brought that with them because these cultural dynamics are designed over centuries. So in order to be a great salesman when it comes to balancing this cultural dynamic, you need to do two things. One, you have to learn about the other culture. You cannot assume that yours is right. You have to assume that theirs exists for a reason, and you want to discover that. And the second thing you want to do is lean into the cultural dynamic that you're seeing in the person you're connecting to. You come from one, they might come from another. Lean into theirs, study it, learn it, walk in it together, experience the process, and see what happens. As each time you've done it, you become better and better at walking in that expression of their culture, honoring that culture for what it is and its validity. But what you're doing is you're building deep relationships with individuals who think and know that you believe in them and understand what they need in the way that they need it. Dealing successfully with someone in your own cultural dynamic can be hard enough, but it can be especially challenging when dealing with someone from a different cultural dynamic. But that's the fun of it. We love connecting to people. That's why we're in sales. Find better ways to connect to people. And as always, if you're dealing with a multicultural prospect list and you are having some difficulty selling to some of the cultural dynamics that we've talked about, please, let's have a conversation. At Span the Chasm, we love helping sales teams thrive by dealing with the culture as they come. So reach out to us on our website or one of our social channels.